All right, the House is unanimously passing a bill today that will allow families to sue foreign governments in the light of what happened certainly after 9/11. 9/11 widow Terry Strada supports that bill. Terry, it's very good to have you. Terry, are you inclined to go ahead and sue Saudi Arabia if you got this right?
Well, absolutely. I mean, we have filed a lawsuit against Saudi Arabia in 2002. So it's a pending lawsuit right now. And yes, we absolutely want to go forward with our lawsuit. And that's what JASTA will allow us to do.
All right. Now, the little detail there is that the president has promised to veto this. What do you make of that?
Well, I would hope that he would take a very careful consideration of the language of the bill that the Senate passed in May and agree that this is very good policy to pass this bill and allow the victims of 9/11 to have justice, to have our day in court. There's no reason why we should be denied this. Every other American has the right to sue people in a civil court system. Why are the 9/11 families being denied this? So we're here to really hope and encourage him to look carefully at the changes that were made. Secretary Clinton, she agrees with the bill. And at this point, Neil, it would be devastating to the families if he were to take away our hope for justice. And I really hope that he's a good man, that he'll do the right thing and let this bill pass.
Now, he turns it around and says it would be damaging and devastating for future Americans and their families because it would make them targets abroad. What do you think?
I don't see how that could absolutely be true. That is so false. It is not going to put anybody at risk or at threat around the world because we're going to pass a bill that holds Saudi accountable for the damage and the pain and the suffering and the killing that they did to us on 9/11. That's just not true. All
right. So if the risk was there and that American personnel or even tourists are targets because of this, A, you don't think that will happen, and B, that it's overstated.
Well, they can't be targets. This is a bill that's very narrowly crafted to hold people that finance and aid and abet terrorists that kill Americans on American soil. So if you were to reverse that, we don't fund terrorist organizations. We're not out killing innocent people.
But you're granting or opening the prospect for them to do so even regardless of that. You know what I mean?
No.
And that it's just a legal, on and on.
No. It's not. It's not, because it is so narrowly crafted to only hold you accountable if you aid or abet a terrorist attack on American soil that kills American citizens. We are not in international terrorism. We are not funding terrorist attacks across the world. So this bill will not have any effect on our tourists, on our military, on my family, your family, and
again, I hear what you're saying, but what they're saying is that your definition is very different than what they might deem. If we have, let's say, an airstrike in an area, they might deem that a terrorist activity on our part, financed by the United States, and it's going to be, attack time in the United States in response.
Airstrikes are not considered terrorism. That is not a terrorist organization out carrying out a terrorist attack. There is a difference, and you cannot hold someone accountable for an airstrike. It's not the same. It is absolutely
I know what you're saying,
not
but
the same.
They're going to lie about this interpretation or start distinguishing that way. But real quickly, on the 15-year anniversary of this, and that this is maybe getting decided on that anniversary, how do you look at this day? I mean, it's been 15 years.
It's a horrible day. It's an absolute horrible day. I hate it when it's coming up. My children hate it. All the families hate it. It's sad. It's horrible. We have to remember what happened to our loved ones that day, and we have to also now carry the burden that we're not allowed to pursue justice. I mean, it's horrible.
Now, I had Tom Ridge here and others of that period, of course, the former Homeland Security Secretary, saying we're still vulnerable. More than half of Americans think that something even bigger than 9/11 could happen again. Do you worry about that?
Of course, absolutely. That's another reason why we want to pass JASTA. It will deter future terrorist attacks against our country because it will hold the financiers accountable, and it will make them, pay for what they did and stop the flow of money that continues to terrorist organizations today. all this bill does is hold those types of people accountable, and it absolutely should pass. And like I said before, it's devastating if he takes that away from us. And maybe the president needs to put himself in our shoes and say, how would he feel if his spouse or if his children were burned to death or ripped to shreds and brought home in pieces or never at all like my family? Maybe he needs to do that and then say to us, yes, you can have this bill because you do deserve justice. We are like every other American, and he is denying that to us if he vetoes the bill. So please, Mr. President, do the right thing. Do not veto this bill.
Terry, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.